I'm making this video because I hope it makes a few people feel a bit better, and I feel like it's something that a lot of us deal with and not a lot of people talk about. So it's been about 1 year since I quit my full-time 9 to 5 job. This was a job that I had studied 5 years for, that I was excited to start working. Basically, I did this job for a little while and I just felt really, really depressed and burnt out. I lost that spark for life. I would come home and just crawl up into a ball. I was very, very unhappy in the job I was doing. And it was the typical 9 to 5 hours in an office, very bureaucratic. And I've always struggled with the idea of even when I was younger, I've struggled with the idea of working a 9 to 5 job. And I've always sensed this like resistance. I've never wanted to do it. And I've always, even through high school, I thought like, it's going to be a nightmare when I get a proper 9 to 5 job and I've got to stay stuck in an office my whole life until I can retire. So I've always had this resistance, but like many people, I got through high school, got the degree in something I somewhat was interested in, but didn't really care about it. But like you're told you got to pay the bills, so you do something where you can get a stable income, and you kind of neglect what you're interested in and what your soul kind of craves. But anyway, so I got the job. I became very, very depressed working 9 to 5. There was some aspects of the job that I liked. It was in speech pathology, so it was helping kids communicate, which is quite rewarding. But in terms of how rigid the job was, I find that very, very difficult. And I've always craved autonomy and freedom, and the idea of being kind of shackled to a 9 to 5 job and being told like, okay, you're going to start work at this time, you're going to end work at that time, has really always freaked me out, and I've really rejected it. But a lot of the time when you say you reject it and you don't want to do that, you're kind of looked down upon by society. And people say, like, at least in my head anyway, like a lot of people think you're lazy if you don't, that's not what you want to do. And it's very hard to find a place in the world where you don't have to work those rigid 9 to 5 hours. Anyway, I'm waffling a little bit, but I also really struggled with the 9 to 5, just wearing that fake mask in the office, those fake smiles you have to put on, and no one's really being themselves. Everyone's being like really polished, and I found it really difficult being around people who couldn't just like have a laugh and take things a little less seriously. Obviously, like, you've got to be professional and stuff, but I find it really, really hard to have fake conversations with people, and I find it hard when the other person's not being themselves. And like at lunchtime, you're talking about the latest Dyson vacuum cleaner, and you just want like real connections. But when everyone's wearing that fake mask in an office, and there's a lot of ass kissing and power struggles in an office, I really struggled with all of that shit. And also the pressure of just being told how much you've got to work and constantly being pushed to work harder and harder. Yeah, it got to a point where I just completely burnt out. I had a bit of a mental breakdown, if I'm being completely honest with you guys. And it got to a point where I was like, my health is more important than this. I've got to leave. And I left in a good manner. It wasn't like I completely lost my shit or got fired, but and I was on good money too, guys. That's the thing. I was on pretty good money, and from the outside it looked like I was thriving. I'd done my uni degree, I had got the job, the money was coming in. But I mean, I've never been more freaking depressed and drained. Like my days, I would just come home and jump into bed and get onto Netflix. The weekends were spent recuperating. And I kept thinking, like, there's got to be more to life than this. I've got to have a more energy and light. Like, life seemed very heavy all the time. And I kept thinking, like, you get one life, man. Like, if I'm going to be like this for the next 30 years, like, what is the point? It's just a waste of a life. So I made the very difficult decision to leave. And since then, I've had luckily, I'll backtrack a little bit. I'm sorry if I'm waffling too much, but I hope you can kind of, I hope you might have a similar situation to me where you're really struggling at work as well. And I hope this is kind of resonating with you. But luckily, I'd been saving like crazy, living really below my means, just because I knew I needed a get out plan, because I needed something else to change to. I needed time to figure out what I was going to do with my life. And so I definitely in my head was saving a lot of money because I knew it was going to take a bit of time for me to find my next direction. So that's what I did. I saved a lot of money, and like I was living back with my parents, because to me the most important thing, man, is mental health and physical health. And like, because I was so miserable at the job, I was putting on so much weight. I wasn't sleeping. I didn't want to gym because you're so drained from the job, neglecting socializing, you name it. I was just becoming a shell of a person. And yeah, that's why I got out. And it was hard to get out, man. Like, and I understand if you're in a situation when you're in a job that you really don't like and it's a bit soul crushing, it's hard to get out because that uncertainty is terrifying, and it can be more terrifying than staying in the job. And it's similar to like an abusive relationship. You know, when people are in a domestic violence relationship, sometimes they stay with the partner because the uncertainty of what happens next can sometimes be more crippling than just staying with what you know. But anyway, so I got out of the job and I was turning 30. So it was really hard for me to get out of the job turning 30 because I kept thinking like, I'm such a fuck up. I'm going to turn 30 and I mean, like, people have got a house and kids by now and I'm still not sure about what I'm going to do for money and a career. So that was quite difficult, like going against societal expectations and timelines. But you know what? I thought, fuck it. Like, I just want to be happy. I want my nervous system to be back to baseline because my nervous system was shot, man. I was so anxious and depressed that my nervous system was just all over the place. So my main priority was getting my mental health right. Although it was really difficult deciding to leave my career at 30 because of societal expectations. But I've learned to say fuck it to that because we all find our path at different times. Some people might do it at 22, some people might do it at 45 or later. But you can't listen to societal expectations and you can't go along with the crowd your whole life. You have to do what feels right to you. And like I said, from a young age, I always had this feeling like the 9-to-5 corporate office setting was not my cup of tea. But I listened to society for a long time and followed the crowds. But your heart and your soul always tells you what the right path is. So what I'm trying to say is, if you are in a really shitty job that's just soul crushing, it can get better, and you must kind of follow your heart and follow what you want to do, even though it's going to be really hard, because there's nothing special about me and I'm not insanely smart or anything, but compared to where I was a year ago, it is day and night. And I'll go through what I did and everything, but I just want you to know that things can get better and they will get better if you follow your internal feeling. And I honestly think this is listening to like the energy. Like if your job feels really heavy and you're drained and down, that's a sign that you're not on the right path. And when it's lighter and you're having more fun and you're excited, that's when you know you're on the right path. Even though that sounds a bit wishy-washy, it's really true in my opinion. So anyway, I always knew I wanted my own business. I wanted, like I said, the freedom and autonomy that an office job doesn't give you. I wanted to work hours that suited me, and I wanted to have the choice of when I worked. Another thing is when you say like, I don't want to work 9 to 5. I want to do my own thing. People just think you're lazy and you don't want to work. You want to be a bum. But the truth is, a lot of people just want to decide when they work. I don't mind working up till 9 at night if I'm doing something that I'm excited about and that, you know, it gives me a sense of purpose. And that's what I really craved. I wanted to do something that I was really excited about, that I wanted to wake up and work on. And I'm not saying I expected to wake up every day and jump out of bed and be like, oh yeah, I'm going to work. Like, I know there's going to be shit days even when you're doing your own thing and you're not doing the 9 to 5. But compared to what I was, just dragging myself to work, waiting for the weekend, like praying like for the weekend, getting those Sunday scaries. I mean, life should not be like that. You should not be counting down to Friday. You should not be getting Sunday scaries. You should be enjoying your week. And I don't think that's too much to ask for, to be honest. But yeah, there's a lot of shame when you say like, fuck the 9 to 5, I don't want to do that. But I want to kind of change this narrative, because the journey I've been on is crazy, and I want other people to kind of feel how I feel now. Anyway, so yeah, I left the job. I always knew I wanted to make video content. I wanted to create something tangible and help people with their mental health, and basically trying to help people live a good life, a fulfilled life, and not to be depressed and miserable like I was. I wanted to do that through making YouTube, but I also wanted to do that through some counseling and talking to people. And that's what I did. I started making these YouTube videos, and I set up a little counseling business. I just threw an ad on Facebook and said, would anyone like to have a chat? Is anyone feeling anxious or lonely or anything? And I had a great response from people. And basically it's just grown since then. Obviously this YouTube channel is still quite small, but the counseling is doing really well. I really want to grow this YouTube and make that something. But what I'm trying to say is, when I started following stuff that I wanted to do that felt exciting and lighter to me, things just started to fall in place. Like when I put this Facebook ad up, I met some awesome people who I met up and had counseling sessions with. Local businesses started reaching out to me, and they were like, oh, I'd love to partner with you. And I truly believe if you're on the right path, and if you're doing something that you're excited about and that you're passionate about, first of all, you're willing to work way harder than you are at a job that you hate. And second of all, I really think the universe gives you a lot of opportunities when you're on the right path. Like the people I've met in this last year, like amazing people that have just come out of the woodwork to help me and grow my counseling, and yeah, it's been insane, man. So if you're in a position where you're in a job you freaking hate, I promise you there's another world out there. It's not the end of the world if you're stuck in a job you freaking hate, because I know when you're in it, you think, my life's fucked. I'm going to be miserable my whole life. This is just me. I've made my bed. And especially when you get older too, because that the pressure triples, you know, you're turning 30, you look around you, you compare yourself, and you feel really low and hopeless. But I just want you to know that you're not hopeless, and there is stuff out there for you where you feel lighter, you feel more excited, but you have to follow that internal voice that's giving you little clues. Because it always gave me clues. I've always known that I'm good at talking to people and making people feel better about themselves. I've always known I've really wanted to make videos to help people, but I've never pursued anything like that. You know, I've always gone along with the crowd and society and got a degree and thought inside the box. But as soon as I started following that voice, the world has opened up for me, and I truly believe it can open up for you too if you're struggling with what I was struggling. How do you listen to that voice? I think this is one of the big things. In our modern society, we have so much freaking stimulation and distraction. And I think a lot of that time that silences our inner voice, that gives us little hints and tells us things. That little voice will give you energy. You know, if something excites you and you get like light, excited energy, that's when you know you're more aligned. If, you know, a job comes up and it feels heavy, something doesn't feel quite right, that's when you probably know it might not be the job for you. But yeah, like I said, this modern world is really full of stimulation and distraction, and I believe that it's so important for us to step away from that stimulation and have a lot of quiet time. You know, I'm not saying meditation, but, you know, go for a walk by yourself with no music or anything. You know, sit in silence for a bit. Let your inner processes, just let the cogs turn a little bit, and a lot of the time that will give your mind time to just figure things out, you know. And I trust me, it sounds really woohoo, but you'll have some realizations when you're less stimulated. And yeah, so from where I was last year, I'm in such a better place. I've still got a long journey to go, but I just wanted to make this video to say that the 9 to 5 is not the be all and end all. And if you're hating your job, there is other stuff out there for you. I promise you, life is meant to be exciting. Life is meant to be fun. And if you're fucking depressed and hating every day at work, you're on the wrong track. I always think we are gonna die one day. We may as well be excited about our Monday to Friday. It shouldn't be like hell. So I hope you guys took something away from this video. If you have any questions or anything, please send me a comment or anything. I would be happy to make more videos. But I just want to kind of go on this journey with you guys, because I know a lot of people out there are suffering like I was. And yeah, I just wanted to become myself again, man. Like, sometimes when you're in these positions where you feel so down, you feel like you lose who you are, and you do lose that spark to live. So I actually called my counseling business Spark, because I want to help people get their spark for life back, and I truly believe everyone can. So I hope you enjoyed this video, guys. I'm gonna have a nice coffee and enjoy this rain. It's pouring down in Australia right now. But yeah, it's been nice talking to you guys, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks for watching.